Well, let's talk about what happened in lots of different places. And we'll start with the logo on the left, the Miami Dolphins. NFL record. They scored 70 points. They beat the Broncos 70-20. All-time record, 726 yards. They've been playing football since 1920. Nobody has ever put that number of yards on the board. And all of a sudden, the Sean Payton's hand print on Bronco football looks like a smudged finger painting because they are not playing well. Granted, ton of injuries, but it almost looked to me like his defense just flat out quit. You give up 70 points, 726 yards, Tua threw for 304. Boy, is that offense dynamic. The two Miami running backs, Mostert and Ashane, the rookie, between them, John, had a combined 8 touchdowns, running and receiving. I mean, it was staggering. Tyreek Hill hardly contributed. Jalen Waddle didn't play because of a concussion. And they went out and put 70 on the board against the Broncos. Sean Payton reacted really badly post-game press conference. He got into it with a couple of questions from the media about this historic loss. He got very offended.
Yeah.
Hey, you're 0-3. Scoreboard does not lie.
Right.
So that's Miami's big win over Denver. Denver's got a lot of work to do, and they got so many players hurt. I don't understand how Arizona ambushes Dallas. This is just stunning to me. The Arizona Cardinals, with the journeyman third-string quarterback Josh Dobbs, has like 185 all-purpose yards, and they beat the Dallas Cowboys. Dobbs and James Conner just kind of took emotional control of the game. And Dak Prescott didn't look like Dak Prescott. The receivers didn't run with any authority. They weren't making many plays. I don't know if Dallas was stunned at the end of the week when they lost their star cornerback, Andre Diggs, with a severe knee injury, gone for the year, major surgery coming. They just did not look like they were focused. I can't imagine that Dallas looked past Arizona and said, this is a walkover. But, boy, the Cowboys get ambushed by the Arizona Cardinals. Indianapolis, Baltimore. Speaking of surprises, Indianapolis does not have its starting quarterback, Anthony Richardson. Failed to get out of concussion protocol. He's still there. Went with a backup quarterback. But the guy they did have that won the game for them is ex-Rams field goal kicker Matt Gay. 53, 53, 53, and 54-yard field goals.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, from the other area code.
Yeah, really.
I mean, that was really impressive. Lamar Jackson, all of a sudden, because Baltimore's got a bunch of injuries, all of a sudden it's strictly Lamar throw, Lamar run. There's nothing else going on. Threw for 202, ran for 101, which is impressive, but they didn't spread the field. They didn't force Indy to defend the field. I thought the playbook was kind of screwy what Baltimore ran, but how about Indianapolis with Gardner Minshew, journeyman quarterback, throwing for 200-plus yards and getting all those field goals? Indy wins over Baltimore. The Saints, this is bad. They were blowing out Green Bay. New Orleans led 17-0 in the fourth quarter. Derek Carr took a sack, fell on his shoulder. Luckily, did not separate it. He's got a bruised shoulder joint. He's probably out a week. They said this morning at the press conference that if this had been on artificial turf, his shoulder probably would have come out and it would have been the end of the season. But because the grass, they've got real grass, good grass, Green Bay gave, all he got was a bruised joint. But they lost. And you know, bingo, here comes Green Bay. They come roaring back. That was really impressive what Jordan Love did. And they got injuries at running back. So they post a victory over the Saints, which I think is kind of a blow for them. Green Bay scores 18 in the fourth quarter, wins that game. Houston, man, they drilled the New York Jets. Jets are in some type of shock right now. C.J. Stroud throws for 298 for the Texans, 2 touchdowns. That includes a 69-yard touchdown pass. And an offensive lineman pick up a block kick, lumbering and slumbering down the field, ran 85 yards for a touchdown.
Nice.
That's kind of phenomenal. And in terms of the Jets, they gave a vote of confidence today to Zach Wilson, maybe because there's nobody else on the roster that can play the position. 3 more interceptions. The Jets were 2-14 on third downs. So the Jets are going the wrong way. Pittsburgh, that was quite a slugfest. I did tell you the game would be played in the gutter.
Yeah, you did.
On,
You did.
last Thursday, and the defense really made the difference. And then Pittsburgh got stronger and stronger as the game wore on. Their pass rush, their coverage, the bravado the Steelers secondary played with. There was a 56-yard punt at the end of the game that kind of saved the Steelers. There was a 57-yard field goal by Chris Boswell. There was a 72-yard touchdown heave by the quarterback, Kenny Pickett, who was under all kinds of siege. Jimmy Garoppolo, he hung in there, and he took some wicked shots. Garoppolo wound up in concussion protocol this morning. So that's a big blow to the Raiders. Threw for 324, a couple touchdowns, but 3 picks, 4 quarterback sacks, 7 hits. What a game by Davante Adams. 13 for 172 yards, but the Raiders have no run game at all. And today, Davante Adams kind of went off and said, there needs to be urgency in this Raider locker room to solve these problems. And he's not making reference to Garoppolo, but I think indirectly he's making reference to this mess because they ran out of players on defense. Chandler Jones, their big money defensive end, is away from the team with, to me, apparent mental health issues. Josh Jacobs has not been the same running back, and he's the one that held out the entire season to the week of the first game and then finally showed up in a contract dispute. So they got all kinds of problems there with the Raiders, and now Jimmy G is banged up. So, I mean, what a weird weekend of upsets, strange games, weird calls, controversies after the fact. John, you picked them. You respond to it.
It was a weird weekend. I mean, after the Cowboys absolutely destroyed the New York Giants, they get beat by the Cardinals, one of the worst teams in the NFL. And then, and the Cowboys have that ferocious defense, and the Jets have the great defense. They lost. I mean, it's amazing. And then this, what's it? Is it Gardner Minshew?
The journeyman, used to be in Jacksonville, a couple other places.
But he's a guy that
gunslinger.
He just sort of popped up on my radar last year. And I was like, who is this guy? Hey, he's not so bad. And I had to go back and where did he play college? I'm trying to remember. Was it like Washington State or something like that?
Yes, he was a 1-year transfer that threw the hell out of the ball with the Cougars, and he had bounced around, and he's just a gunslinger. He's okay. Now, he's not going to win you an NFC championship game, but he's okay.
Yeah, well, Nate Burleson on CBS was saying, he's like the perfect backup. And I think he kind of is. But the game that just blew me away is that Miami game against the Broncos. I mean, 70 points. I mean, I can't even remember the last time the score was even in the 60s for any game. But imagine if you're Sean Payton. You've been on the sidelines, and Fox, doing the studio show, getting paid a lot of money for your big reputation. And these NFL teams keep throwing money at you. And man, if you take that job, you got to go and dig a team out of a hole. I mean, it's the same thing that happened with Chucky with the Raiders. He was on TV, he goes and coaches, and he was in a terrible spot. He made the situation worse, of course. But sometimes I wonder if these highly paid coaches maybe regret taking it because they were on easy street, before when they were in the TV studio.
Well, they're not going to hit the eject button on Sean Payton, but Sean Payton's got a lot of work to do. And there's kind of a subliminal story there. That was Sean Payton that denounced Nathaniel Hackett and called the operation of the Denver Broncos an ultimate disgrace last year. Yeah. My goodness. And what did we see on Sunday?
Yeah.
And he didn't want to answer any questions about the statements he made about last year's embarrassment.
Well, he said he's the law, and now he won't take questions.
Now he's getting hammered by the media in Denver, and that's a football crazed town that cares. And they're going to tell you when they don't like what they see, and they're telling Sean Payton the last 24 hours have been pretty miserable. And the law is now 0-3. Not good. And speaking of coaches in trouble, tell you what, there's some undercurrent in Las Vegas. Josh McDaniels is 11-17. I mean, we're not talking about making any progress with the silver and bleak, are we?
Yeah. It's just ridiculous. Like some of these guys get so much money and they're really not much smarter than some of these other ones.
Our Monday bonus